Welcome to your daily 49ers update. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. Here's what's happening. Quite frankly, the 49ers got screwed. Former head of officiating Mike Pereira was a guest on KNBR yesterday, and he said the refs screwed up the end of the game between the Niners and the Seahawks. Before the Niners' last punt, it was 4th and 6 with 2:45 left in the game. The Seahawks called 2 timeouts in a row. Because they were granted by the officials by rule, that is supposed to be a 5-yard penalty. So if that's the case, Mike Pereira, why didn't the refs do that?
They were wrong. They should not have done that. And they didn't get they shouldn't even have to have any input from somewhere else, but none of the 7 officials on the field, nor the people in the replay booth recognized. Now, it's not very common. It doesn't happen very often, but that's no excuse. It's just that they, for lack of a better word, blew it.
So what ended up being a 4th and 6 punt should have been 4th and 1 from the Seattle 37-yard line. Kyle Shanahan, if they had called the penalty, what would you have done?
I haven't thought about that since it didn't happen. But I'm sure if it was 4th and 1, we would have gone for it. We also would have been in much easier field goal range too. So I know it wouldn't have been a punt.
To be clear, I am not telling you that the outcome of that game would have been any different if they had called the penalty correctly. But I am telling you that the ending of that game would have been very, very different. And who knows what could have happened. And with the 49ers hanging on to a playoff spot by a thread, stuff like this matters. Unfortunately for the Niners, there's nothing that could be done now. They are 5-5. They are in a very tough spot. So, Kyle Shanahan, what is the mood of the team in the locker room?
We were pissed off from yesterday. That was a tough loss. We had every chance to win it, and we didn't get it done. So I think guys were disappointed and upset. But we all know each other pretty well in here. We understand our expectations, and we had a good team meeting, addressed a bunch of the fourth quarter, kind of watched it all together, and then we broke up into our position meetings. But I think guys are and ready to put that game behind us. Today's always a hard day to deal with it because of some of the frustration of what happened. And now I think our guys can't wait to get to Green Bay as fast as we can.
That's all well and good, but we've heard that before from you this season, Kyle, and it hasn't really seemed to matter. So forgive us if we don't really care, frankly. Last one for you. You are taking a ton of criticism. The team as a whole is taking a ton of criticism. How do you all deal with that?
The only thing that matters is what happens in those 3.5 hours in a football game. And the only thing that you can do about those 3.5 hours is focus on football and how to get better at that stuff and practice in meetings. And anything outside of that, any talking about it, any pointing to other people, trying to make up any type of narrative of it that doesn't have to do with exactly what's happening on the football field will only make that stuff harder. And those are the challenges. That's why you got to make sure you got tough-minded people who can focus on really what their job is and nothing more than that. And it gets harder when you have adversity and stuff like that, when you aren't getting as many W's as you want. But no matter how much harder it gets, you got to always understand it's about the ball, and you got to keep it about the ball and nothing else.
Whatever they're doing, they better do it fast because this season is quickly circling the drain. Before we move on, we should get to the injury report. Some big names on Kyle Shanahan's list from yesterday. Let's start with Brock Purdy, who popped up with shoulder soreness, according to Kyle Shanahan. He's going to be day-to-day this week. Nick Bosa has injured both obliques. He's going to be evaluated. Kyle did say he has just as good a chance to play as not play, although Bosa himself didn't seem that optimistic. Jacob Cowing is in the concussion protocol. Tatum Bethune has a possible MCL injury. He's going to be out a while, according to Kyle. Mooney Ward is back with the team. He attended meetings yesterday. They're going to practice him this week and see how it goes. George Kittle's hamstring should be well enough for him to practice tomorrow. And Trent Williams' ankle is going to be monitored all week. Obviously, he was limping heavily before the Seahawks game. We always give you one thing to read, one thing to watch, and one thing you might have missed. One thing to read on this Tuesday. Matt Barrow's Minutia Minute column in The Athletic is always excellent. This week is no exception. There's something in there about how teams are approaching the 49ers special teams that goes to show the league has caught on that they're not very good. If you want to read it, click the link in the description of this episode. One thing to watch. Brian Baldinger did a breakdown of the 49ers run blocking on Sunday. or lack thereof. If you like pain, I'll put the link in the description. You can watch it. It is very damning on Kyle Shanahan and very damning on offensive line coach and run game coordinator Chris Forrester. One thing you may have missed, Brock Purdy ran for his 4th rushing touchdown of the season on Sunday. That is the most by a Niners quarterback since Colin Kaepernick 11 years ago. Kind of hard to believe. It's also the most by any 49ers runner this season. Keep that in mind when we talk about the problems with the offense. Brock Purdy is currently leading the team in rushing touchdowns 11 weeks into the season. Ugh. That's a wrap on today's 49ers in 5. Please rate, review, and follow the Gold Standard Podcast Network wherever you get your audio podcasts. Like and subscribe to the 49ers Gold Standard YouTube channel as well. Click the bell so you're notified when we're live, which is after every single game, every single weekday, and after breaking 49ers news. Enjoy your Tuesday, everybody. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. We'll talk later today.